good movies are a dime a dozen. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're great. But overall, the movies have always had a special place in not only my heart, but many others. Getting to see that, really lets you lose yourself in this fantastical world, or lets you enjoy some sort of story, whatever it may be. It could be inspiring, it could be comedy, it could be action, whatever. But sometimes movies don't know when to stop. They don't know when to say, well, okay, we've done 1, 2 movies, maybe 3, that's enough, let's move on to something else. No, sometimes they keep dragging on, and sometimes they just don't know when to let go, and they end up literally writing themselves into oblivion. That's pretty much it. That's what they end up doing. So in this article here from Bounding into Commerce, I want to touch on a couple here. They have 10 popular movie franchises that wrote themselves into oblivion. Yeah, because you didn't know when to stop, you didn't want to stop, and you just kept making it worse. Into it here, first one they have is Underworld. Now, Underworld, the first Underworld movie was good. I liked it. I really liked the first Underworld movie. I thought the second one was okay, not as great as the first, but I thought it was okay. Alright. Rather than follow up on that, you understand me? Or they could have just made 2, because the second one, the way the second one ended, that was pretty much the end of it. They could have just said, oh, okay, they make 1, they make 2, and they're done then. No. They then decided to do one that was Rise of the Lycans, that showed back in the day what happened. And then from there, it just kept getting worse and worse. I believe the half vampire, half werewolf hybrid Michael, I really liked him. I thought that his whole design and everything looked really good. They killed him off, gave Celine some daughters. I never even wanted to watch the rest of the movie. I thought they were just terrible. You completely deviated from where you started in a way that would have made people actually enjoy it. You mean, by the second movie, it was done. You could have left it at that. But no, because they're so starved for ideas, and because they need to just destroy anything, they kept pushing it to the point where I don't think anybody even cared about the last movie that they put out. It was just mess. That's all it was, just mess. You know it. Terminator. Right. I consider Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 to be the only Terminator movies. That's it. I consider those two to be the only Terminator movies. A lot of people say that, yes, they love Terminator 3 because you got to see the governor, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time. We said, well, kind of thing. Fine, no problem with that, okay. But I thought that it didn't make sense to really do it again. And because I knew that once they started up again, they were never going to stop, we kept getting one terrible movie after the next when it came to Terminator. Literally one terrible movie after the next when it came to Terminator. They just abandoned everything they had started with. And then in the last movie, they killed off John Connor to replace him with some Mexican girl that did. And the whole storyline made no sense whatsoever, but they just kept doing it. Even the actual director of that movie, I remember the last movie, what in they called it again? I don't remember what the end it was called. I can't remember. I think it was Dark Fate, right? Yes, Dark Fate. You understand me? Even the director of that came out and admitted that the movie was just a complete and utter waste, and they should have never made it. You should have stopped at Terminator 1 and 2. That should have been it. But no, because again, bankrupt for ideas, needed to beat the dead horse into oblivion. They made more than just kill the franchise. Transformers. The first Transformers movie was good. Really loved it, but it was excellent, good. Second movie, I wasn't such a big fan of that one. I thought, certain things could have been done differently, but I'll still give it a little pass and say, okay. By the third film, I had completely given up all hope on it. I thought it was just wasn't making any kind of sense anymore. I just didn't care. And now they have just completely destroyed it. There is no cohesion in Transformers anymore. They're throwing in things that didn't make any sense. They even had things so you say that the Transformers were fighting in World War II, and you were like, oh, what? And it just kept getting worse and worse. You had an actual story that you started in the first movie. Then you just kept making more, didn't know what you were doing, how you were trying to fix it, and it just kept getting worse. Like I said, they could have just done a Transform movie 1 and 2, and that would have been it. That would have been it. They could have just done the second movie to wrap it up, and that would have been it. But no, they kept going to the point where it just became unwatchable, and now it can't transform itself into anything good. And plus, we have the upcoming Transformers: Rise of the Beast, where they're introducing the Maximals, who will be the Transformers that turning into animals. And the directors coming out and saying how the movie is going to be highlighting Latino people. And you're like, what the hell is that? Does that actually have to do with giant robots beating each other up? They just pretty much killed this franchise already. X-Men starting off, when they said they did the first X-Men movie and stuff, I had concerns about it, but other than that, the movies were pretty much okay. The first movie was okay. Second one wasn't bad either, you understand? By the third one, everybody was like, yeah, okay, because that's the other. And then they just kept getting worse and worse and worse. They would put out movies that didn't make sense. They had the whole, I could get some of these things in here. They didn't. Then they did, let's say the problem began with X3. Then they went with X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men Origin Wolverine, which was a complete and utter disaster of a movie. Then X-Men First Class was somewhat interesting. You were like, okay, what's happening here? Let's see what's going on, the other stuff. Then they just completely destroyed it. Then it just didn't make sense. Then they had Days of Future Past, which was actually pretty interesting because you gotta look at the dystopian future. Then you had the mind transferring to the past and all that stuff. It actually was interesting. So you could actually say, well, all right, this was something going on to actually be good. Then they just kept getting it. Then they went with the whole Age of Apocalypse thing. I don't know, it was just crap. Quickly followed up by Dark Phoenix, which I am never seeing, don't want to see. Everybody who I know that has seen Dark Phoenix, has nothing good to say about the movie because you just needed to stop. And they didn't want to do that. They kept trying to see if they could build off of it and just failing miserably. To the point now, it's just an embarrassment. I mean, we still have the X-Men supposed to come into the MCU, and everybody's already bracing for the blatant race swapping and wokeification of that franchise. So, who knows, right? It ain't looking good. They did have Logan, which came up, which wasn't bad, but it did not deal with most of the problems. Jurassic Park. You could have made one movie about it, maybe two, and stopped. No, they kept making more. It kept getting worse. That's the long and short of it. It just kept getting worse. I mean, Jurassic World was just terrible. I didn't think about it. The Matrix. The first Matrix movie, people enjoyed it. It was interesting, inside a computer. They won all of this. Second movie followed was really good. People enjoyed the fighting, the action, the story, everything. The third movie, people were like, okay, well, it ended not like how we would have expected it to, but it ended all right, okay. Then last year, I think it was last year before, they came out with Matrix Resurrection, and everybody was like, well, you could not be more insane to resurrect this nonsense like this. Matrix Resurrections was not Matrix. It was garbage through and through. It should never have been made. I even believe that there was some kind of lawsuit about it. I haven't heard anything else about it again, but they poisoned the well with Matrix Resurrections because the movie, the literal Matrix trilogy had ended, and you tried to revive it, and it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And rather than admit it was terrible, I mean, the thing about it is that how do you sit down, read this script for this, and actually say to yourself, listen, I'm going to make this garbage. But then again, it's Hollywood. They keep doing this, they keep failing terribly, and they just don't want to stop. That's it. Matrix, they destroyed that with that last movie. Resident Evil. Okay, I'm not really all that familiar with the Resident Evil games. I did watch the Resident Evil movie, the first two. I haven't watched it, but I'm not having a good thing. But I think I'll read this part. The original Resident Evil films are a guilty pleasure and that are apparent from day one. Each new installment was more ludicrous than the last, which is why the series managed to hang on for as long as it did. However, even the greatest so bad it's good film franchise isn't immune to the possibility of completely losing its way amongst all the contradictions and continuity errors. Mila Djokovic made it quite clear that her name was Alice, a former Umbrella turncoat seeking to take down the organization for its recklessness and irresponsible research into genetic bioweapons technology. What started out as a spiritual nod to the original PlayStation video game soon threw off the rails into abject insanity. Sure, part of it was fun, but it came at the expense of incomplete storylines, disappearing characters, regurgitated action scenes, and implausible plot arcs. Resident Evil jumped the shark long before its final installment, which deserved some kudos for its tenacity, but it's still a mess. So yeah, it's not many to talk about it. Jaws 1 was interesting. Jaws 2, it wasn't as great, but it was a follow-up movie. You could say, okay. Then they did Jaws 3D, and you were like, what in God's name is wrong with you people? That's really the only way to put it, I mean, you could have stopped that too, but no, they just made it worse. Oh God, Star Wars. The easiest way to describe the destruction of Star Wars is with 3 simple words. Kathleen Kennedy, Rey, Disney. That's it. The original Star Wars actually followed the story that George Lucas had created and all of that stuff. Fine. Good movies, show was happening, okay. The minute Disney, Kathleen Kennedy and them started to get their grimy little hands on it and run around telling everybody the Force is female and putting out quite possibly the most hated character in all that Star Wars, Rey. By the time Kathleen Kennedy and them finished with Star Wars and not Disney anymore, they're not going to have anything remotely interesting left about it. This franchise is pretty much dead at this point. And they just seem to be enjoying its destruction. Star Wars is just gone. I think we just have to all accept that by now Star Wars is just gone. Marvel's Cinematic Universe. Phase 1 was good. Phase 2 was good. Phase 3 was good. Not every movie in it was a spectacular hit, but it was good. It led up to something okay. You could have said, let's just stop it there and probably focus on some other characters, like, probably do a Daredevil thing or like that, we said follow up from the Netflix series, not the crap that they did with She-Hulk, but follow up from Netflix series and bring it to the big screen. Could have done that. No. Instead, we got rubbish like the Eternals. We were getting nonsense like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Then we had Thor: Love and Thunder, quite literally the worst MCU movie or superhero movie ever. The Disney Plus shows have all been a disaster, and they don't seem to want to stop. Because for some reason, Disney/Marvel believe that they could just keep riding this horse into oblivion. You have literally turned people off of the MCU when you could have just stopped and then decided to do something else, but no. So it's just going now, and they're setting up Kang to be the next thing, and they want to bring in the X-Men and look at, and nobody cares anymore. I think that's nobody just cares. Nobody has any hope in anything Marvel / Disney could do with the MCU anymore. The only thing I would say on this list that I didn't see and I think they should have really put in would have been Fast and the Furious, because we reach Fast X or Fast 10 right now, and you're like, okay, it's not even Fast and the Furious anymore. It's just infuriating. That's it. But overall, I would say this list was pretty good, and it shows that, some of these movies just need to learn when to stop. They don't want to do that. And this is the problem that they keep putting themselves into. You need to know when to say, okay, we're done. We've done this. It's not working out anymore. And let's just move on. But they're not doing that. Keep making this gap. When it keeps failing, it's a problem. And these companies have to learn to just stop at some point. That's it for me. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And what the opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, try to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. Notified every time I put out a video. I shall see you all next time. Thank you.